Well, the sun is setting. The brakes are what they are. They're screwed. I need to go through and just plain rip out every bit of brake line in the front of this thing. But I don't know about you. I'd like to hear this thing make some noise. Radio turns on. Seems to think that it has turn signals. We got every idiot light possible. Here we go. I have had enough of tripping on everything. The whole area is just covered in junk from this project. We had a freak rainstorm last night, unfortunately, so everything on the roof line is wet and drying out right now in the sun. So we are going to go through and we are going to clean up this area. And we also are going to hope that the U.S. Postal Service shows up on time, because this was not the sealant that I wanted to use. This is what the local CarQuest had, because we've literally only got one day this week that is going to be over 50 degrees and clear enough skies for working outside. We've got some short hair, we got some long hair Bondo. Our goal is not to finish this. Our goal is to get this sealed up so that we can get to the brakes, get the gas tank in, and get it off of the lift. That's our only goal today. We got it hauled down next to here. That way in the spring we can drive down with the trailer. We'll flip this up onto the trailer and then we'll be able to load it up with scrap metal in the spring. Right now it's just not worth doing. So off we go to finish the next thing. There's nothing fun about what's about to go down here. Some salt and vinegar Pringles and a grinder with a wire bristle brush, because we have got to get in and take every bit of that out. It's all cracked. It's all got a rust layer growing underneath it. It's all got to come out so that I can put some caulking in there and fill it up. At this point, I'm literally going to fill this with whatever I happen to be able to get a hold of and black paint the entire top of this. I'm not out to go and finish coat this. We're just out to get it sealed up before winter hits. If anyone has a better solution for this, post it in the comments. That way the next dummy like me that thinks that this is a good idea will have something to go by. On a hindsight is 2020, like this stuff all getting thrown at me and everything, I really should have put my sandblasting hood on. It would have made my life a lot better right now. But hindsight is 2020. I'm going to finish grinding in and getting the tops off of there. And then I'm going to paint everything to give it one layer of sealant. And then go over it with the caulking and go from there. Yep. I'm a bad person. I didn't wait. I put some short hair on. We'll see what kind of hot mess we have out here in the morning. Average wind speed, 10 miles per hour. Current temperature, 38 degrees. Oh yeah, it's a great day to be out here working on Van-Haulen. But seriously, we got to get this ground down and get all the sealant put in here so that this thing is sealed up for the winter. We've got a whole bunch more that we can do on the van through the winter and then paint it in the spring. So stick around. Every month or so we'll try and do something on the van. I've got this right here set up. Got a sprayer. We've got some 60s and some 80s here. And in order to get down into these little nooks and crannies, I ordered up this kit off of Amazon. I've used several of these now for a bunch of different projects, so I'll post a link for this down below. And we've got our old Craftsman that we found in the junk and rebuilt, and there's our piece there. So we're gonna get on here and get this all taken care of. I've had a few people point out that I left the weld here and I didn't sand it down. That's because eventually I'm gonna have a red light right here. I'm really not worried about this weld. It's more making sure this is all nice and that this transition here doesn't end up holding water. Well, that is what we started with. And after about an hour or so of tinkering around, this is what we're down to now. Is it pretty? Nope. Is it gonna seal up and keep the ice and the water out? Yes. Had to chase a box off into the woods that got blown away by this stupid wind. But I figured while I was over here, I'd show you this. For the new people coming in, this is the kind of thing that I usually do during the winter time. It's a 8 horsepower Duramax to a centrifugal clutch, running a chain drive to a shaft to the rear to a 5-speed out of a lawn tractor. It does about 12-13 miles per hour. And this is the kind of thing that we usually build in the winter time. And we're going to be working on another variation of this. I want to build one that actually has rear suspension this year. And we've got a whole bunch of parts set aside to be able to work on a new upgraded version of this. But we got to get the van sealed up, running, and off the lift first. It figures that literally as I am using the very last drop of that, what I ordered ends up showing up. So a lot of you ended up reaching out and telling me that this was the right compound to use in order to seal the body seams. And I did listen to all of you guys, and I ordered it. But the U.S. Postal Service literally just delivered it a day and a half late. So let's jump up here. Holy wind. Wow. Okay. I got to the dangerous point real quick. This stuff right royally stinks, and I don't know what's in it, but it turned my stomach really bad. There's some sort of fume coming out of this stuff that almost made me vomit. But it's sealed up. It's ready to go. This does not spread like tub caulking. This does not spread like you're putting on caulking around a windowsill. This spreads like doing tar around a chimney. This was horrible. This was not fun to work with by any means. A wise motivator once said, start each day with a 5-minute project that you know is easy and you can do, so it snowballs the rest of the day. For me, that was getting these 2 taillights put back on and wired back in so that we can test all the wiring once we get this fired back up. Our big thing today is going to be gas tank, exhaust, and rear shocks. So the problem is that's all got to get done in its own special little order, because in order to get the exhaust system put in, that shock has to be out. Oh yeah, those definitely had a few thousand miles left on them. What am I doing? I should have just left them. But for real, we're throwing on some really cheap Detroits on here. I know I'm going to go and get some comments about Detroits being junk. I live in Maine. Rear shocks in Maine rust out. It doesn't matter whether they're high-end shocks or whether they're cheap Detroits. So we're throwing these on. While we're underneath here, I was measuring out that I've got to cut this in order to put the gas tank up in here. But the other thing I wanted to point out is that I'm going to have to go and come in underneath here and spray all of this down where I put this floorboard in. So I'm going to spray it all down with Rust-Oleum, get it sealed up, and then go back through with the body caulking and get that all set, because I can't get to this section here the moment the gas tank is in, and I forgot about that. So all of this has to get sprayed in. Everything's got to get sealed up before I put the gas tank in underneath it. In a world where time is money is increasingly becoming a thing, this Vevor pipe stand is really cool. It's anywhere from like 28 inches to like 50 something inches. I've used it to install a bumper now. I've used it to trig underneath a door to fix how it was closing on a truck. I'm now using it to install this exhaust. The top of this is really wide and really flat, so it's easy to run a 2x4 on it and lift up things. Is it worth 80 bucks? I think so. I like things that make life easier that are cheap. Anyways, we've got that bungee corded onto there. Underneath here, where we've got this up and over so that we can lift this as we need. We're going to push that forward and we're going to see if we can get this connected. Up in underneath here, we got a decent bit of paint done earlier. And at this point, I am on my 9th can of spray paint, I think, on this project. I'm pretty sure I'm up to 9 so far. But it's worth it. Spending the money on spray paint now versus having it rust out later, it's worth it. You ever wonder how those catalytic converter thieves manage to cut it off in 30 seconds when you can't manage to cut it off in 3 minutes? It's because they know how to thumb press the bottom of their reciprocating saw. So on your reciprocating saw, you got this piece here, and your thumb fits right there. So if you take your thumb like that, you come around with it, and you hold the pipe and set your blade right there. Well, it hit some leftover booger weld in the bottom of there, which is why we're cutting that piece off. But as you can see, this did not jump around at all. So you take your left hand, you turn it like this, put your thumb on there, and hold it. I could have sworn in the picture that these had the pads on them. So here's the original pads. These are just utterly, totally shot for these gas tank straps. So this is Grace Ice and Water Shield thrown on there. I hunt for it at yard sales and stuff. If I see a bunch of leftover roofing material at yard sales, I try to pick up these because people don't know how much it costs. This is also referred to as zip tape in a lot of the rest of the country. But Grace Ice and Water Shield tape, it comes in a roll that's like this, and you just cut it down. And this makes duct tape look like a pansy. It really is way better. I use it for fixing seats, all kinds of different things. Oh, hack mechanic thing. If you need to replace a rocker panel in order to be able to just plain get past an inspection, and they don't do the hammer check, this paints really good with Rust-Oleum paint. You can figure out the rest from there. This little hitbox just constantly impresses me. Normally I pull out my Hobart 140 for doing exhaust stuff, but this is not perfect, but more than acceptable. So I've got to do about 2 or 3 more hangers, and then we'll call that good. There was a really strange noise coming from outside while I was working on making my lunch. So a few years ago, they introduced these bird brains back to Maine And then they put laws on exactly how many you were allowed to shoot and everything else. And now they are running rampant all over the lower part of the state and the mid-coast, destroying everything that they can get a hold of. Yep, brilliant idea by our lovely government. Yep, I'm sold. That pipe stand is earning its keep today. We got a nice big pine board on the top of it. We've had this gas tank out now 3 different times, attempting to get everything in here all sorted out. And to do this over again, without question, I would drop the gas tank 2 inches in where it mounts. I would drop the cross member underneath the back here. I would drop down the cross member back here. And I would drill a hole going to the tank right straight through the frame, weld a piece of pipe around it to reinforce the hole in the frame, and call it good. This tank placement has cost me way more time than almost anything else at this point. So we've got that cut out, and we've got it clearanced for like the 3rd or 4th time. So now we're gonna spin that up. We're gonna make sure that it fits, and hopefully be at the point we can bolt it in. I figured I would shoot this little clip just to answer the ongoing question of, if it was legal, could I have the rear doors open? The answer is another round of, if I had to drop that gas tank 2 inches, my life would have been a lot better. With the gas tank in the stock location, the answer is no. If I had to drop the gas tank like I should have, the answer would be yes. Well, the sun is setting. The brakes are what they are. They're screwed. I need to go through and just plain rip out every bit of brake line in the front of this thing. But I don't know about you. I'd like to hear this thing make some noise. Radio turns on. Seems to think that it has turn signals. We got every idiot light possible. Here we go. Low fuel, ABS failure, battery not happy. Alright, we'll take that. Alright. Let me see if I can hit the skinny pedal while aiming you guys. Alright, skinny pedal for the fun of it. There we go. I need to test the lights. I wonder if those will turn on. Let's go pop the switch here. There's one on. There's 2 on. I've got a whole bunch of electrical nightmare to sort out with this thing in order to be able to run from there to here. And there's also, right here, it's got a factory 4-wire that's plugged in that I need to test and see if that'll do anything. It sounds much better than it did before. I wonder if the headlights are on. Well, we got a cab light working. Got one headlight. This one was being stupid before, so I'll have to figure that out. And I'm pretty sure I saw a cab light on. Yep, there is. I wonder if that'll shut off if we close both doors. I'm gonna bet that because of the wiring nightmare, that cab light's not gonna shut off when we close doors. What do you guys bet? And closing door. Holy cow. I think that's the happiest thing that I have seen in a long time. It works. Well, I've got about 2 good days coming through And I have got to get my yard moved around and cleaned up and ready for winter. John's club car that he was given needs to go to a place for winter. The yard needs to get cleaned up for winter. Basically, next week, every night is below 25 to 20 degrees at night, which means if it is sitting here and it is even remotely into the mud, about 3 days after that, you're not moving it. So we've got to get working on that, but at least this is running. I can get it off the lift, and we can get the yard work and stuff done.